Welcome! My name is Colleen Tauke and I'm the sewing specialist at Fons & Porter. In this Quilting Quickly tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make the basic block for the quilt called New York State of Mind. And you can see behind me, it makes a very graphic, dynamic design. And we're going to be using 10-inch squares. So for the details for this pattern, and to purchase this pattern, you can visit our website. So we're going to start with a 10-inch pre-cut squares, and we have a selection of great purples and greens kind of all meld together with an accent fabric that has a white with sort of a stripe that runs through it. And that's where we're going to be looking for lining up the stripes to make that design that goes throughout. So starting with our 10-inch squares, we are working to create a design that looks like this. Our blocks are each positioned like this, and then it's all about the placement that creates the interlocking design. So what we're going to do, the basic unit is made from a 10-inch square, and you're going to follow the pattern for how many of the light squares that you need to cut. Details are all in the pattern. And then we're going to take each of these squares and we're going to be marking them with a diagonal line across the block. Now, normally when we're marking things like this, we're using a 1/4-inch seam marker in a certain way. In this pattern, we're going to use it just a little bit differently. It's still a straight edge and it's still a 1/2 inch wide, but the placement is going to be different. So follow along. Okay, we want to have the diagonal always in the same, because we want this stripe to be repeated going the same direction here. So you have to be thinking about the stripe fabric, how that's going to be placed on your block, and when it's stitched and opened up, that it's going oriented in the right direction. So what we're going to be doing is using that 1/4-inch seam marker. You can use a ruler also if you don't have a 1/4-inch seam marker. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be placing it, noting the direction of the stripe fabric underneath. We've already checked it to make sure we had it the right way. And along one edge of the tool, we're going to make it go from corner to corner. And then we're going to mark on each side of that with a stitching line. Like I said, this is a different placement, so the outer edge is going to be corner to corner. Just take note of that. Now we've created stitching lines that are 1/2 inch apart. The reason why we're marking it this way is you also saw in the studio pillows that match the quilt behind me. And the pieces that we're marking off to the side are going to become pieces for the pillow, or you could make them into a table runner or a bag, whatever your heart desires when you're finished. But this way we won't waste any fabric. Now we're going to be placing these marked pieces on our large 10-inch squares, and I will show you that simple stitching and the piece that we have that comes from our extra marked line. Because normally we would call this a diagonal seam method because we're going from corner to corner across the block. But instead of wasting the extra, the little triangle that you trim away, we're going to be utilizing that for that secondary project, that bonus project. So make sure you stitch both lines. The nice part about this is you don't have to worry about your accurate 1/4-inch seam, you just follow the lines. I'm using red thread. If you were sewing this as a project at home, you would probably be using either a white or a gray thread, a lot more neutral color, but we want you to be able to see the stitching. Okay. So you can see here though, I've stitched from corner to corner, and then I've also stitched 1/2 inch to one side of that. And when this opens up, you'll notice the orientation is correct. Now I need to take that to the ironing surface. We always want to set our seams. Oh, we don't need steam with this one. Just a quick press, and then open that triangle outward, making sure you open it all the way to the stitching line. And now we have that nice crisp line. And then we're going to come in and we're going to cut away the excess underneath. You could use a rotary cutter, or you can use just a simple scissors to cut these away. You've already got your seaming done, so nothing is going to be moving. It's all stable at this point. And now you have a paired triangle square under here that then can be used, like I said, in the project here. So as you cut away those pieces underneath, as you're making the blocks for your New York State of Mind, put these in a reserve for your second project. Okay, you're going to want to repeat that process by doing the lower corner also. You want the stripe to be oriented correctly. So we think about the placement when it seems so strange that it's up and down here, but it's across here. It has to do with the diagonal seam. Just double check yourself. Seam rippers are always available. They're always an alternative. You can always adjust if you need. But this is one of those things, that learning how to keep oriented throughout. That's why I even have the directions and the diagrams that the graphic designers put into the magazine. Keep those close by. That will help you keep everything organized. Once you've created all of your blocks, then, I've got a few more blocks under here, it's about taking those units and making the large block that goes into this. Now the fun part is bringing them together and what happens when the blocks come together in the center. Because it gets a motion going, the lines rotate their way through the center. So instead of just having a solid block of fabric here, you've got a whole secondary design going on in your quilt. For more of our quilting tutorials, visit our website. Thanks for joining me today.